Hello and welcome to another Huns History Nest podcast, where history is enjoyed and salvaged forever. This is a podcast on how to create a timeline, which, as explained prior, is an intricate part of the studying process for tests and quizzes in Mr. Hunwick's class. The example that we'll be using to create a timeline is going to be the first set of notes located in your Unit 1 packet, pages 1 through 3. And it is titled, as seen here, First Americans and Exploration. Essentially, the directions for this are for you to obtain a sheet of paper, at which time I probably will pass out an 11 by 17 sheet of paper for you. We're going to use, as said, pages 1 through 3 in your Unit 1 packet, as circled here. And what we're going to be looking for in these notes are placing things from beginning, which would be here, to end, which would be here. This would be the earliest date over here. The earliest date would be to the left, and the newest date would be to the right. The next thing that I would advocate we do is make a key, as seen down here in the lower right. And in our set of notes, there's going to be essentially 5 empires that I would like for us to use in the map key, beginning with Vikings, going all the way down to England. Now, from our notes here, we will notice that the first thing that pops up is the year 30,000 to 11,000 BCE or BCE. Now, this would be the route of the Clovis people, otherwise known as the Paleo-Indians. So this would be our earliest date. It is also the first thing in our notes. So all the way over to the right, we're going to put our first date, which will be 30,000 BC or BCE. And this becomes our earliest date. We're then going to, over here, write Clovis people. And thus we have our first date. Essentially, to make it look a little bit better, this is what we're going to end up with. Now, the key is, as you see here, is I'm going to color code each one of the empires. And this will make the distinction here. There's only going to be 2 things on your outline that will not be part of an empire. That's going to be the Clovis people and Marco Polo. So we're going to basically go through our notes and find each of these things and plot them using a timeline, using also a key. So in this, you'll see that the Vikings are all red. This will provide us with their exploration. You'll notice all the English explorers are done in this kind of blue seen here, and so forth. And that's going to be your main goal with the timeline key. So essentially in beginning, this is how it will start. Then we'll go to our Vikings. I'm going to use red for the Vikings, so I'll just color this in red. And remember, you're going to be making your own timeline key. And then when we go to our notes, we'll notice that the next thing is the Norsemen or Vikings and their exploration. Then we're going to plot Eric the Red. You'll notice the year is 985. Then we'll do Bjarni Herjolfsson, 986. Leif Erikson will then follow. And thus we begin our timeline creation. One of the things that I would like for us to take note of is that when we plot each item, it is also appropriate to perhaps write for each of these a little bit about what they did or what they discovered, etc. For example, as now seen here, you'll notice that what I did is I wrote not just Clovis people, but I also wrote a description of what they did and or their importance. And it says followed animal herds across Beringia, and in parentheses I described Beringia, land bridge connecting Alaska and Asia. Thus, this is a better description of what happened in 30,000 BC. Now, just to continue the progression here of doing the timeline, the first Viking is Eric the Red, as we said from our notes. And Eric the Red established a colony in Greenland in 985. So, using red for the Vikings, as I put in the timeline key, I then write Eric the Red establishes a colony in Greenland. I put the year here, 985, and thus I have continued my timeline. And this is what you'll do for all the notes. Again, you're going to do this for all the notes, pages 1 through 3 in your Unit 1 packet. This also, as we discussed, is a phenomenal way to prepare yourselves for tests and quizzes, because you will see everything progress from beginning all the way to the end.